Welcome to The Lead Climb, the podcast where we break down the strategies that drive patient acquisition and growth in behavioral health. Hosted by Growth Sherpa Consulting, we bring you expert insights on digital marketing, admissions, business development, and more, so your treatment center, mental health clinic, or private practice can thrive. Whether you're a CEO, admissions director, or marketing pro, this is where you'll find the tools to scale smarter. Follow us up the mountain. Let's lock in. Good morning and welcome to the Lead Climb podcast. Usually Steve Denai is your host, but today it's me, Chris Foust. I am the Senior Director of Marketing for Growth Sherpa. And today with me, I have an incredible guest. I'm so excited to have Brittany Hong, Head of Marketing for Encyrcle. How are you doing today, Brittany?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much, Chris, for having us on.
Of course. Encyrcle is an alumni engagement platform, and it does a lot more than that, but we're going to get into that later. I do want to start with, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you ended up at Encyrcle and where you are today.
Yeah, so I get asked that question a lot. If this is like what I wanted to do when I grew up, it is not. I actually wanted to be the first female NASCAR driver. Somebody beat me to it, so uh, you know. But I actually ended up in this space like a lot of us do. So I worked in the wine and spirit industry, needed to get sober, got sober through a 12-step program, and my sponsor strongly suggested that I look for a different career. And so I started working at a local IOP here in Knoxville. So my very first foray into treatment was actually on the ops side. I worked at a single location eating disorder outpatient clinic for women. And then throughout my journey, I just ended up moving into marketing and working for their substance use and eating disorder residential program, and then moved into a role at Cornerstone doing more national work before they were acquired by Bradford. Then moved up and worked for Pyramid Healthcare, which is multi-location, primarily focusing on their out-of-network programs. After that, I worked for a large digital marketing agency that specialized in behavioral health care, and then was shoulder tapped to come help create Encircle. So
Awesome. Yeah. The industry, I think, a lot of people end up, in their current positions kind of through a very similar journey. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have a very similar journey. So let's talk a little bit about Encircle. Tell us a little bit about what it does, who it helps, and kind of the broader spectrum of what it provides.
Yeah, so Encircle is a tool that is used to help treatment centers in the behavioral healthcare space systemize and optimize their post-discharge touch points for their alumni. So everybody that works for our company is either in recovery or has worked in recovery. And what we wanted to do was create a product that truly filled in those gaps, those known gaps for not only the alumni, but for the treatment center. So we automate through text check-ins, your Joint Commission and CARF surveys. We use our technology to determine who is going to be a good candidate to ask for a review from, or maybe who's not the best candidate to ask for a review from, to help our clients be able to have some consistency with those review requests. It's always a sticking point for our clients. It typically tends to be a little bit awkward. It's uncomfortable for people to ask. So that's something that we help with. Then we also have technology that we have created that helps to identify risks. So we can help determine clients who are in need of care to help quickly and easily get them back into treatment, whether that's with your program or one of your community partners. Just making that a little bit easier to determine, who's in need and who needs help.
So it's not just an alumni app.
It is not just an alumni app. So whenever we were starting this, what we did is we really looked at the engagement rates. So before we got into this, we wanted to understand how are people best connecting? And when you look at the statistics, the engagement rate for text is astronomically higher than email, than phone calls. I always laugh at this. My team always gives me a hard time because I always have like 100,000 plus unopened emails. And like, probably right now like 200 calls I haven't responded to. And I'm 12 years sober. Probably shouldn't be bragging about that. But, when people are new, we know that they're texting. Everybody who's worked in treatment, we know the first thing that they're doing when they leave, they're texting their girlfriend, they're texting. It's just the way we communicate. And now in 2025, that's across the board. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. People are primarily texting. So we are not just an app. We are a tool that your program can use to help your team be more effective. We replace that manual outreach that we typically see where your alumni coordinator or somebody at the program is having to call or text or email or just kind of chase them down. We automate and systemize that for you. And then once the alumni respond, we hand that over to you so you can intercept that and be able to keep that conversation going with your alumni.
So much to talk about there. Being in digital marketing and behavioral health, I've been at this for, I think, maybe 12 years now. And from day one, I noticed that there was a huge potential for alumni marketing. And I know that a lot of people are afraid to kind of associate those two words together, right? Alumni and marketing. They don't want, a lot of people kind of have this preconceived notion that they don't want alumni to be a part of lead gen or to be a part of marketing. And if you have incredible treatment and you're offering incredible, communities, you are inadvertently marketing. You are inadvertently creating brand advocates. And this tool is an incredible way to kind of beef that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we were first conceptualizing this, we knew that our technology would be able to help our programs that we work with identify clients that are at risk. We have the technology in place, we have AI sentiment analysis, we have all of these technical things working in the background to determine who's struggling. But to your point, how a lot of our clients are using our program and how we encourage our clients use our software as a best practice is also identifying who's doing well. Because to your point, if you're offering if you're offering great treatment, they should be your biggest referral source. We want your alumni to be your biggest referral source, and they should be. And not only the alumni, but their families. So, one of our programs that we work with, they've shared that our system has helped them identify who's actually doing great in their recovery. And they're investing a lot of time and energy into those clients because those are the clients who are out in the world who have gotten their life back. They've gotten their kids back. They're back at their job. So, they are highlighting for everybody to see the efficacy of your program. Their moms are shouting it from the rooftop at the Sunday school, all of these different things. It's just such an opportunity to understand where to invest your time. And again, I mean, they should be your number one referral source.
The piece about family, I think it's been a long standing, well-known fact in our industry that people who have family involved in their recovery typically have longer recovery, more active recovery when the family is involved in the process. And of course, there's nuance to that, and I recognize that. But being able to quantify that through data collection is absolutely impressive. And let's talk a little bit too, just about the technology. I know in behavioral health, a lot of programs, even the big ones, still kind of lag behind when it comes to implementing technology. Salesforce is a good example. A lot of organizations and programs could use Salesforce, but even the ones that do aren't utilizing it in a way that they're getting the most out of their dollar. So I would love to hear your thoughts on technology in behavioral health and how programs are either succeeding or not succeeding in implementing technology.
Typically, the people that we talk to are pretty far behind when it comes to technology. And this is from a single location program to an enterprise level program. We are just behind the times in behavioral health. I talk to people all the time who are writing information down in a notebook or they are keeping their admissions on spreadsheets. This literally translates to millions of dollars being left on the table. But again, it's just a part of our conversations day to day is the fact that we're not implementing technology that we have. There are a ton of free tools that we can utilize just to make our lives easier. There's all types of systems that programs can be using to increase their efficacy, whether it's on the admission side while they're in treatment or post discharge, that are available to us to help us capture data, to understand our program efficacy. There's so much use case to bringing in technology to help us understand what's going on so we can make clinical decisions that are based on data and business decisions that are based on actual data, not just some notes that are in somebody's notebook or lost somewhere in a Google spreadsheet.
What kind of data can be derived from your platform, and how, in your opinion, is the best way to apply that data?
Oh my goodness, it's endless. It truly is endless with the data. So for our program, we implement industry best practices. So there are certain things that we are touching on. We are helping programs stay compliant with Joint Commission and CARF. And even as basic as that, with that data, we've now made that reportable. It's easy when that time comes. It's all actionable and reportable data that's in one place for you. So it's as basic as just helping with compliance, but we can use our data to help programs increase their insurance reimbursement rates, to advocate for more days for their clients, to show efficacy of their program. So we have several ways that we do this with our technology. We have trends that we can show over time. So programs can actually look at that and their clinical team can understand maybe at 3 months, it's an adolescent program and they tend to start to struggle. We've had programs that have put more support into place at that timeline to help support the families, support the teen, in order to help hopefully decrease the risk of another recurrence, but just making sure the family is supported. The data that you can collect and the ways that you can use that are truly limitless.
So let's talk about, the holistic piece of your business. I know that working in digital marketing for Growth Sherpa, we're brought in to essentially help with increasing admissions. But we know that it's never just digital marketing, right? There are challenges in admissions. There are challenges in, VOB, rev cycle. All of these things affect that admission. And it sounds like Encircle touches way more of a business than just alumni.
Absolutely. So when we were creating this product, it was really important for me. Like I mentioned, I've worked in this space for, over a decade. I've been in ops and business development and digital marketing, CMO roles, kind of you name it, everything but clinical. So it was really important for us to create a product that there was utility for all of the different departments. So to your point, from start to finish, there is data and insights available from the admissions team, leadership, business development, clinical, alumni. And it is all interconnected, right? Like from start to finish, it's all interconnected. So for us, any department can use our product and get insights.
Okay, so let's talk about like a 30,000 foot view of alumni, right? I've worked at places where alumni is heavily integrated into marketing. I've worked at, or worked with other programs where alumni kind of just exist as part of the clinical program. And I've also seen it just kind of exist on an island. With all of these kind of varied approaches, I'd love to kind of get your take of like the state of alumni and behavioral health, what's happening, what can be done better, and how can we, integrate alumni more effectively in behavioral health.
Mhm. So I think your question is two part for us. So at Encircle, we work with clients, whether they have an alumni coordinator, whether they don't, whether admissions is handling alumni, or if that's part of the business development. So alumni typically does fall under a variety of different departments or it's standalone. So for us, we have a team when you implement and start working with us that are going to help understand what you guys are doing today with your alumni department. We are going to share with you industry best practices, and then we actually consult with you to help you understand how we can optimize what you're already doing, how we can make this better, how we can help you grow. All three of our people in CX have all worked as an alumni coordinator. They worked in leadership. They've been in behavioral health for years. So we will actually help you figure out what the best practices are there and how you can optimize it. As far as the state of alumni, this is like a topic. I don't know how much time we have, but this is something my team knows. I will get on a soapbox about this. As I shared, I worked in digital marketing, and so I understand the spend that we have, the CPA for the spend when it comes to digital, and it's a necessary evil, absolutely. But it's always baffling to me when I'm talking to a program and I pulled them up on Google, and I know that you're in that number one position for drug rehab in, Southern Florida or Southern California, and you're not investing a dime in your alumni program. Not in the business of telling anybody, how to run their treatment program, but that's crazy. So, investing in your alumni program, it is the lowest CPA. It is the lowest hanging fruit. They should have had an amazing experience with you. And we're talking drastically different numbers when we're talking about the CPA for an alumni versus the CPA through digital marketing. So, for us, we're always trying to help our clients understand that we want diversity in those admissions. So, in a perfect world, we kind of think of the rule of thirds. We would want around a third of our admissions coming from digital marketing, a third coming from the boots on the ground efforts from our BD team, and then around a third coming from our alumni referrals. So we really want to help encourage our clients to diversify that split and to overinvest in their alumni program. They should be your number one referral source, and that is the healthiest split that you can have for the financial health of your business.
I always tell all of our clients that alumni, and I think you were being conservative when you said 30%. I like to push for between 40 and 60%. But it's a long-term investment, just like SEO is, right? You can't just flip a switch, and just hope that admissions start pouring in. That's not how any of this works. It's all about that long-term investment in the program.
40 to 60% will be amazing. I've talked to two programs in the several thousand that I've talked to in the course of being within Encyrcle that are anywhere close. One was around 30% and one was at 40. So typically we're seeing people around 15%, and that's if they even know. It's amazing to me. It's just alumni is such an afterthought that a lot of times they don't even know. They're not paying attention to it. They don't know their numbers. And that's talking to the alumni coordinator all the way up to the CEO. Nobody is paying attention to it. And again, it's such an underutilized admission source.
Yeah, when we go in and we build out, we like to start with kind of like a MarTech stack, like a build out for our clients. That includes like dynamic call tracking, CRM build outs. We include alumni in that conversation. And the clients are usually like, wait a minute, why would you include alumni in this? I'm like, here's why. And
Yeah.
you just stated that for us. So, what are some of the common, challenges that people come to you with when it come in regards to alumni? Like, what are some of those reoccurring trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, so it depends on for us who we're talking to. I would say one of the number one things that we hear about and have the opportunity to help with is kind of the classic, I got the title in the office and I have no idea what I'm doing. So oftentimes alumni coordinators come into this role because they were a client of that program. They're now off, they're doing great, and then they want to come back and they want to be of service. So they're starting in this role, and typically they're not getting a lot of training. They're just kind of handed this title, here you go, and they have no idea how to go about it. So we spend a lot of time with folks, and we're always happy to jump on a call with somebody, whether you use Encircle or not, not, we want to help you understand best practices, give you resources, and point you in the right direction to help you get started. So that is something really common. That is almost all of the alumni coordinators that we talk to. That is where they start. I would say the second thing is getting buy-in from leadership on why it's important to invest. So we spend a lot of time with our clients helping them understand the ROI. We have a client that is an enterprise level client, Bradford Healthcare, that we took their alumni referrals, not alumni readmissions, alumni referrals in 2023 from around 800 to in 2024 almost 4,000 just by getting the right
Wow.
technology and the right systems in place. And so again, just helping leadership and helping the team of the treatment center understand, because I think as an industry, we do typically tend to lean on PPC because it's a little bit more predictable. We tend to lean on the things that we know, but the numbers are there to justify investing in your alumni program. And I always say to our clients, the math always maths. You cannot give me a scenario when it comes to investing in your alumni program or getting the right technologies in place where the math doesn't math. You are always going to get an ROI from getting the right technology in place, staying consistent with that follow up, and having oversight and understanding to which of your clients need help. Who is doing great? Who can you have come back? A lot of the programs we work with are nonprofit, so helping them stay connected because they're depending on donors and philanthropic efforts and volunteership. So there's just so much there, but being able to get the leadership team to have that buy-in and the understanding of the ROI that it actually does produce.
Well, and you can't even begin to pitch ROI until you have that tech stack in place.
Mhm.
And, I love having these conversations with clients around, hey, if we invest in this call tracking, you're going to find out how effective your calls are, where they're coming from. You're going to find out, alumni, are they outbound calls? Or, you're finding out all this incredibly useful information. And I think where a lot of the time it gets kind of, cut off at the knees is you have to understand that this data is going to help you as an organization financially grow. You are going to decrease CPA, as you mentioned. You're going to have way more data, especially from the nonprofit side. I would assume that when you've got this incredible amount of data to show the growth of your organization through alumni, it's a lot easier to have a more productive pitch for grants and for fundraising.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we try to capitalize on is we have all of the text from your clients. So we can pull those blurbs to share at our, if a client has a gala or needs to put out a donor campaign or on marketing, whatever that looks like, you have access to all of this information. All of the information for us stays in one place. So the treatment center owns it. You don't have to worry about it being on this person's cell phone or that person's cell phone. So it's all in one place. So there's so much opportunity to capitalize on all of that good work you're doing. You have all of those messages that you can utilize for your marketing campaigns.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to switch gears again. And I know that, it's been a very interesting year in the United States. There's been a lot of change happening. And I would love to get your opinion and input on how and if, the current political climate is affecting our industry.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It definitely has been an interesting year, short year, and already pretty interesting. So typically, what we see in our industry is when things aren't going well, in our country, we tend to do better. And that's the unfortunate part of things when people are struggling, they need our services more. I think with the nature of what's going on now, I was having a conversation about this recently. So, even in my lifetime in behavioral health, I've lived through two events where we've woken up one day and things have changed. Legit Script with Google, and then in 2020 with COVID. So, when Legit Script happened, we basically woke up one day. Now we can't advertise on Google. Now what? So, everybody who had all of those eggs in one basket What are you going to do? Same thing with COVID in 2020. It was supposed to be what, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, depending on what state you were in. I'm in a southern state, so we weren't, dealing with that as long. But there was, several states that for a year you couldn't go into a hospital, you couldn't go into a doctor's office. So those, avenues that you had to count on for your admissions were gone. And so I think right now with the current political climate, not really understanding what's going to happen with grant funding, with Medicaid. There's a lot of talk about changes to ACA, Medicaid, things of that nature. So I think with the uncertainty, it just highlights what we talked about earlier, the importance of having that diversity in the way you're obtaining your admissions. You cannot put all of your eggs in one basket. And in theory, your alumni are always going to be there. They're always going to be your alumni. Hopefully, we always have text messaging, and we can always reach out to them. So just keeping them in that close connection and having that close connection with them when they're in meetings and they're out in the community, staying top of mind, it's so helpful. It seems so simple and so obvious, but the increase that we see just by staying and maintaining that consistency is astronomical.
Well, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us on the Lead Climb podcast. I have one question left, and I always love to end a podcast with, what is that one piece of advice? And I would love to ask you to provide, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to a CEO, a CMO, or someone in a leadership position at a behavioral health program? What is that one piece of advice you would give them in regards to alumni?
That is such a great question. I think if I had to give one piece of advice, it would be to overinvest in your alumni program. If you think that you're investing enough, you're probably not. And if you're not investing at all, invest. The ROI is truly there. I would just say to break out of that comfort and start putting some dollars into that and to see where it can take you. We've literally seen programs who've been able to increase their beds, open more programs, invest. And if you're not sure, reach out, have those conversations. We have, we're always, my phone's always, on. You can always reach out and chat with us. We also have masterminds and different community groups that you can get involved with just to learn more about how you can optimize and utilize and get more ROI out of your alumni program.
Love it. Brittany, thank you so much for being with us, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thanks so much, Chris.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Lead Climb. We hope you picked up some valuable insights to help optimize your patient acquisition and grow your behavioral health organization. If you found today's discussion helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with your network. And if you're looking for expert guidance in digital marketing, admissions, business development, or any other piece of the patient acquisition puzzle, Growth Sherpa Consulting is here to help. Visit us at www.growthsherpaconsulting.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on The Lead Climb.